DeVonta Smith is going to be an Eagle through 2028. It's not a joke. It happened today after months and months and months of speculation and whether the Eagles would bite the bullet and extend DeVonta Smith this offseason. They have done it. We didn't know if they're going to exercise his fifth-year option. We didn't know what the future held for Smitty. Some people speculated there were too many chefs in the kitchen of a certain caliber and maybe they had to let one of them go. That was not the case. Both of them in Philadelphia for at least the next 3 years. Smitty for the next 4. So it's an amazing day to be an Eagles fan. The offense is probably as stacked as it ever has been on paper. You couldn't ask for a better foundation for this team to launch their Super Bowl bid from. And we're going to get into that, the logistics of the DeVonta Smith contract, why it was so important, what it means for the future, the draft, and then maybe, just maybe, a little bit of a film analysis as well on some NFL draft prospects. But what a way to kick off the week. Monday morning, doom and gloom, and all of a sudden a sun bellows through the clouds and you end up celebrating that DeVonta Smith is here to stay for at least another 4 years. Technically a 4-year contract. It's 3 years and the extension. You can't ask for more than that. If you are just joining us, hello, welcome to the show. I hope you're all enjoying your Monday and rocking your DeVonta Smith jerseys this afternoon. I hope you've all had a brilliant weekend. Thank you for hanging out. Rare Breed says, you've earned this, Smitty. So proud you're an Eagles fan and the city is thankful you're here. And that's a great place to start. I think the Philadelphia Eagles fan base was crying out for a wide receiver one for years, like ever since the end of the Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson era. And many tried and many failed to fill those heralded shoes. You know, we had Jalen Reagor, we had Alshon Jeffrey. There were countless other guys that had come and gone, and maybe some of them were great in spurts and then fell off a cliff. Travis Fulgham, definitely not him. Some of them were slot wideouts like Jordan Matthews that just maybe couldn't eventually fill that load on the outside. Others almost worked out. Someone like Nelson Aguilar didn't quite work outside, moved inside. There were countless attempts to get the right guy. And when the right opportunity came around, the Eagles moved up, aggressively snagged DeVonta Smith. And in my opinion, might be one of the best draft moves that Howie Roseman's ever made. Like, well, I know we're only 3 years in, but when you look at the ceiling that this man has, when you look at what he's given to this team already, in the circumstances he's been in, how many people can you say safely have produced like a wide receiver one despite playing with another wide receiver one? You can look at T. Higgins and Jamar Chase as a benchmark and make your mind up as to how good DeVonta Smith really is. I would still say Smitty, regardless of who he's playing with, is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL today. It is just a fact. And if you stuck him on any other team as a devout wide receiver one without much help, where he's going to get 110, 115 targets a year, he's going to put up big numbers. He's going to put up huge numbers. Like, he just is a playmaker. In my opinion, the best or one of the best route runners in the NFL. Not many can run routes with the nuance that he does to cut and change direction the way that he can. The way he snags balls out the air is just remarkable. One of the big concerns coming out of college was his size, that he's too skinny, that he's going to get hurt. Hasn't happened, touch wood, you know, let's not jinx it now, but it hasn't happened yet. And you've had 3 remarkable seasons. And this man, in my opinion, is on a path to becoming the next true all-time great in Philadelphia. Like, the last 2 really to come out of the draft were like Fletch, BG, Lane, Kelsey. I think we're starting to see that next era now. Like, we're safely in that era. Jalen Hurts is on that trajectory. You look at someone like Landon Dickerson, could well be on that trajectory. You go across the board defensively. Jalen Carter, I know it's only been 1 year, but could be on that trajectory. The one that delivers the most confidence of anyone, if you were to bet $100 today on one player drafted by this team being an all-time Eagles great, it's DeVonta Smith. It just is DeVonta Smith. Like, there's no question marks about it. And he's long been one of my favorite Eagles. Like, I try not to be biased because obviously I cover the team and I try and be neutral. But Smitty, for me, he just hits different. The way he produces is outstanding. He keeps himself to himself. He knew he was going to get a payday. The fact he wanted to remain in Philadelphia alone should dispel a lot of those notions about leadership. A lot of those bizarre takes that we see from guys like Dan Sileo saying, or whatever he's called, They'll never get on because, they're fighting over the catches, they're fighting over money. No, they're not. They just want to win. That's who they are. And they're in a good position to win. And they know as long as they've got each other, and Jalen's got them both, they're better than most quarterback and receiver tandems in the entire league. Like, you cannot make it up. And to keep both of them for the duration that they are, it is outstanding. It really is really outstanding. And I have not been as excited about an off-season move in a long time as I have this one. To me, this was a priority this offseason. Of all the moves they made, whether it was Bryce Huff, whether it was moving on from Reddick, whether it was addressing the safety position, whether it was fortifying the offensive front with some in-house keeping, which we'll get to later. I know it was mentioned about Dickerson and Mailata and just the core that this team has. But you don't get, like to me, retaining Smitty or working out what to do. They had until May 2nd. They had until May 2nd to work something out. Like, all right, how do we go about this? What is our method here? Do we exercise a fifth-year option and let him prove it and then pay him? Do we pay him now? Do we not pay him at all? Do we draft a replacement? All of them, very, very viable options, and none of them were unlikely. Realistically, as much as we wanted Smitty to stay, if it came out tomorrow that the Eagles were shopping him, would anyone be overly shocked? And it's not a bad thing. No one wants to see it happen, but understanding the dynamics of the locker room and how Roseman runs his team, and the fact that you've already paid AJ Brown, you've paid Mailata, you've paid Dickerson, you've signed Barkley, you've got Hurts. Like, there's only so much more money to go around. And it felt like Smitty might be the one, unfortunately, to catch the blunt end of the sword. And I think we can all thank the high heavens that that wasn't the case and that he will be an Eagle for the foreseeable future. To me, again, biggest move this offseason. You could not put enough emphasis on how important it is to retain a player of that caliber, that is the age he is, that he's producing the way he is, and he's only getting better. And he's an imperative part of this offense. I can't wait to see what he does over the next few years. And we'll get to some of your comments in a minute. It's great to see so many of you in just discussing the excitement that's surrounding the Birds today. If you could leave a like on the video, that will be absolutely amazing. Don't do it for me. Do it for Smitty. All right, this is Smitty's day. This is DeVonta Smith's day. To come in, make the impact. I can't remember an Eagles player that's done that, to have been drafted and sustained 3 years of exceptional play. Like, you couldn't say the same about anyone. Like, first round pick wise for the last 8-9 years, really. I mean, Hurts was a second round pick, doesn't count. How many guys have been a first round pick, come in, had another Pro Bowl level, top 5 player at his position talent, get dropped next to him to take targets and snaps away and opportunities away, and still balls out? Like, he's a remarkable talent, a remarkable talent. Isaac is a busy man, but he's not missing this because he knows what we're going into, and he knows it's going to be a fun one. I appreciate you, man. No Pro Sports is in. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. Tom, you apologize to no one. As Aragon says, you bow to no one, and I'll bow to you. Naps are fine. We stand naps. Healthy. Look after yourself. You have a little sleepy nap. I'll give you ASMR Smitty content if you want. We'll get to Isaac's stuff in a minute about the contract. Mark, nice to see you. He says, I'm happy Smith is safe for a while. 100%. Mike Can earned it. He did auto-correct a man, but Can sounds better. So he has earned it. 100% he's earned it. Again, I don't think there's a player on this team that has earned it more than DeVonta Smith over the last 3 years. Like, you can look at, if you were to pick anyone on this team to sign to a 4-year contract today, who else would you pick? Really, who else are you going to put money on for 4 years of that same value and go, that's a safe bet? There aren't many. There really aren't many that hit the way he does in terms of just impact and coming up with big-time plays. Like, that game against the Bucs in the playoffs was a write-off. It was a whitewash. The Eagles got slapped around for 60 minutes and had no answer. And the one man who produced with 148 yards and was relentless and continued to find space, continued to leverage the field, continued to win his battles one-on-one in matchups was DeVonta Smith. He was the lone person doing anything on the team, like just carrying the offense. And you can say Jalen Hurts had a good game or Jalen was throwing in the ball. Smitty adapts better than so many other receivers in this league. If a ball is wayward, if a ball's too high, if it's too low, if it's too left, too right, not many players have the reach and the instincts that he does to bring that down. And there were stanzas in last season where Jalen Hurts was missing a lot of passes. and they were sailing on him, and they were just driving on him, going down into the ground. And Smitty would come out with unthinkable catches and turn a dead play into an 8-9 yard gain like it was nothing. And that counts for a lot, especially in the winter when the ball slips, especially in the playoffs when the pressure's higher. Like, to get that kind of reliability, if you know that he defines the term soft hands or a safe pair of hands or a reliable receiver, they get thrown around so much and they get given to guys like Justin Jefferson. And it's not that they don't deserve them. They're all-stars. A guy like Justin Jefferson, arguably like Amon-Ra St. Brown, all-star talents that do everything. Smitty, for some reason, isn't held in that regard by most of the wider league. Like, if you were to rank your top 10 receivers, not many are going to put him in that conversation unless you're watching the Eagles weekly, which we are. And I would say, from that standpoint, is he a better receiver than A.J. Brown? You are comparing the finest of fine wine to the finest of champagne. It doesn't really matter who's better. It's all about personal taste. I prefer what Smitty brings to the table from a dynamicism perspective, from a position of he can get open more ways. He can win routes early. He can win routes late. He can turn uncatchable balls into finesse catches. He can make routine soft catches. He's good on comebacks. He's good on the shorter areas of the field. He's good in the longer areas of the field. There isn't an area he's bad at. And if anyone says pass blocking, shut up, because they don't run pass blocks at him. Like, if you're going to run for pass block, you go at AJ, who's built like Batista, and not DeVonta Smith, who's built like Rey Mysterio. That's just the way football works. But in terms of what a wideout can give you, if you were to craft your dream one, he has all of it. He has all of it. And to know that he's here for 3 more years on top of the 2024 season, it's amazing. It really, really is. I'm over the moon. If you couldn't tell already, and I'm gushing, but I find myself tweeting once per Eagles week, DeVonta Smith is one of the best route runners in football, if not the best. And Justin Jefferson's good. Justin Jefferson might be the standard. He might be the benchmark. I feel like Smitty, genuinely, from an unbiased perspective, just gives a little bit more in terms of instincts. Like, he will turn a comeback and end up breaking someone's ankles and drive upfield or run a slant instead. Like, there are so many times where he pivots and he understands how to leverage his body to create separation when he shouldn't really be doing it. And he's just a highly instinctive football player. And again, it's worth its weight in gold. And I'm really happy that he has got that contract. Trading with the Cowboys to start that draft, you knew it was going to be different. Yeah, and it might go down as one of the best in Eagles history. Like, I really do. If you look at that draft, I mean, we can get it up on screen. Give me a sec. I can do this. I'm not totally illiterate and bad at everything when it comes to computers, right? We all know that. So we go to Eagles 2021 draft, okay? So that is the right draft, yeah. Right, look at the state of this draft. All top 10 receiver, top 10 guard, functional DT3, could be higher. We haven't seen the best of him. Maybe a miss on McPherson. We don't know yet. Like, he could well end up being a serviceable starter, but with Maddox back, with someone like Tyler Hall, with someone like Isaiah Rodgers, I don't see it. He hasn't had enough opportunities. He's not capitalized on the ones he has had. It was a wasted draft pick anyway, because they signed Maddox to an extension the year after. So it was going to be his seat. He was the heir to that throne. And Maddox balled out. They signed him to an extension and he never looked back. So that, I don't put that on McPherson. He's one of those players where we haven't seen anything of in 3 years. And if he goes to somewhere like New England and ends up being like an Eric Rowe, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a serviceable slot receiver in Miami or a serviceable slot receiver with the Raiders. Like, I don't know. He's an unknown. It's a big question mark. It's unfair to call it a bust because you haven't seen enough. Kenny Gainwell, functional. You know, you can't complain. I mean, we can read some of his stats out here from his career. Averaging 4.3 yards per attempt somehow in 2023 with 364 yards. He's got 8.95 in that 3-year span. And he's okay. He's okay. Sometimes he ends up getting like 2 yards per carry, and that ain't great. But now you've got Saquon Barkley. But for a guy that was drafted in the 5th round, he's had 800 career rushing yards. Like, what more do you want out of the kid? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't draft him in the 5th round to be Saquon Barkley. You draft him in the 5th to be Kenny Gainwell. That's who he's been. Marlon Tuipulotu, all right, massively underrated during his time with the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. He's not going to get the love he deserves. He's not flashy. He's not big. He played in nearly 40% of defensive snaps in 2022, 17% in 2023, 16 in his rookie year. He hasn't done much. Has he registered a single tackle? Sure, he had 22 last year, 16 the year before, 3 sacks in total. We're talking about a 6th round pick. A 6th round pick has got you 3 sacks in 3 years. Again, what more do you want? Taron Jackson, we haven't seen him. I was very high on him. I was really hoping he'd be special. Still on the team, obviously. Shame he hasn't. Him and Patrick Johnson are in that same boat. It's like, well, they could be role players. They could end up flashing on a random down 4 weeks into the season when they're up by 20. Are they going to be good enough to start? Maybe not. But again, we're talking the bargain bucket of the draft. We're not looking for miracles here. Jacoby Stevens is the one that I was a bit let down by. I don't think he's still on the team, is he? Oh, he is. He is still on the team. Yeah, no, he's not. What am I on about? No, he's not. Where is he on a team? Because that really sucks. I was so high on Jacoby Stevens. Not him. We want the LSU one. Oh, that is him. He transferred. Never mind. So he's still on Twitter. He's still on about. Let's see where he's at. Forgive my lack of Jacoby Stevens ball not. Yeah, he hasn't played. That sucks. That really, really sucks. Did he get injured? No. Oh, he's on the coaching staff. Fair enough. Really hopes he'd ball out. But you've got 1 miss in an entire draft class. 1 miss. Like, that's an all-time draft class. To go from the Jalen Reagor draft to that is genuinely remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. We'll get to some of your comments in a bit with regards to the offensive core, because I think that I touched on it in a couple articles earlier. I do want to hone in on it again because there might not be an offense built better than what we see in Philadelphia right now. Let's just go. I'm trying to go through and find any. Tom says, on that note, I think 2021 might be Howie's best overall offseason, if you think about it. 2021 walks to 2022 could run. Completely agree. It's just building. It was just building for that Super Bowl window. It's just finding the right pieces. And I think that was the definitive change in draft outlook. If you look back at it, like that year, that particular year, if you go through and look at them, every single player was either a team captain at one point or had a tie to the team. So I'll share the screen again, because I did find this fascinating at the time. It's even more fascinating now because it's been a repeated ethos. It wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't like it just came out of nowhere and then disappeared again. There was a real intent here. So we zoom this in. DeVonta Smith, pretty sure was a captain at Alabama. Landon Dickerson definitely was a captain. Milton Williams, captain and cousin of Fletcher Cox. I don't know what Zach McPherson's doing. I couldn't tell you anyway. Kenneth Gainwell. No, sorry, Milton's not related. Yes, he is. What am I on about? Is he? I think he might just be a captain in Gainwell. Look, either way, both of them are fine. They were all like high honoring captains and leaders at the college level. And that isn't wasted. Like, there's a reason that happened. So it's fun to see that repeated. That was the draft where it shifted from, we can't keep going for JJ Arcega-Whitesides and Jalen Reagor. We need leaders who want to win at the next level and have the right mental traits to do so. It's different. You can have all the ability in the world. If you can't turn that potential into actual proven ability, it's a waste of time. Doesn't matter how good you could be if you're never able to turn it into something. Just the way of the world. And the Eagles have gone, well, you can look amazing stat-wise. Maybe your heart's not in it. You can look amazing stat-wise. Are you ready for Philadelphia? Denzel Mims was a perfect example. Wasn't ready for it. Wasn't ready for the Jets. Wasn't ready for the NFL. It happens. What's up, Andrew? Nice to see you, man. All good. Smitty plays weight there. Smitty plays I can't talk. Smitty plays above his weight all the time. Peter Piper picked a Pepple. I honestly think he might be one of the better blocking receivers in the NFL. I've not seen too much of him block, but again, from what I speak of in like the way he plays, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like, the thing is, he plays with tenacity, and he doesn't look like he would. You know, the guy is like built like me. He's a string bean. Hence the comment on draft night that will now live down infamously that I could take him in a boxing fight. I now wouldn't want to because I love him too much. So could I still win? Who's to say? Would I want to? Would I start punching myself to avoid punching DeVonta Smith? Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. Should have a strong chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years. Our rivals are kind of falling apart too. Yeah, and if you just go back and look at what Dallas are doing. CD Lamb's holding out. And we'll touch on that very shortly because that's the other part of this contract extension that is so important, is that how he's once again jumped the market. DeVonta should never wear another jersey. Agreed. Fully agreed. I couldn't imagine him anywhere else. I don't want to imagine him anywhere else. It's like imagining your girlfriend with another man. You just don't want to do it. Like, that's my DeVonta Smith. Leave him alone. He's fine here, you know? So happy to have two great receivers to root for. Been tough sledding receiver-wise for a while before AJ. Yeah, like not too long ago, we were talking Rager and Arthega-Whiteside like they were AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith. That was a reality. Travis Fulgham was AJ Brown for a while. That was the ceiling. That was all we had was Travis Fulgham to look at and hang our hats on, hang our hopes on. There was nothing. Like, to go from that to two of the brightest young stars in the NFL at the position in the space of a few years is stupid. It is Madden franchise level stupid. Isaac, meanwhile, CD wants a new deal and hanging out of camp. All right, let's get on to this. I will quickly go to the comments here. I'll make sure I don't miss any, so I know I'm a little bit behind now. You should just shave your head. The balding looks weird. Probably at this point. If I'm honest, I've had a hat on all day. It's on the table. You can see it just about there. So I've got hat hair, if anything. But you're right. The hairline is receding. But I think I'd look even worse bald. And the voice is too high-pitched to me. But look at the state of it. You're probably right, HC. As much as I hate to admit it, and as much as you all love a good ha-ha and a good hee-hee, I'm trying to embrace the flowing locks as long as I can. There's a reason the hair's getting longer and I'm not getting it cut. I don't want to embrace the fact I'm going bald. I've just turned 29 last week. I've avoided the nearing 30-year-old crisis, and now that's put me right back in the trenches. So, thank you for that. No, I'm only messing. You're probably right, though. But what a comment to start. Just shave your head. The balding looks weird. Getting the contract done before the other receivers. See, Zach's onto something. We will get there, I promise. I still love a receiver at 53. Still draft one at 53, says Andrew. I would if it was Malachi Corley. I would if it was a slot receiver. I wouldn't if you're trying to find a boundary guy. Like, there is no one really in the slot. Paris Campbell ain't it. Who's the other fella? Devontae Parker can't run. Like, Quez Watkins, I hope runs away. You need someone. The issue is, I mean, there are a lot of good guys there in the draft that you can look at. Anais Brown's one of them. We've done Malachi Corley. We've looked at a lot of the receivers in this draft. I mean, Ricky Pearsall's another one out of Florida. Could be available around 3 or 4 that is going to do that same job for you out the slot. So, for me, pick 53 should be a linebacker because that's where they should be. Like, if they start going before then, move back and pick up someone like Sir Trayvon out of Kentucky. But really, you've got Edgerrin Cooper, you've got Peyton Wilson. Both should be around that 50 mark. Like, the Eagles should be in reach to get one of them. The second pick they have in that second round, don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Corley's. I think Corley's going to go higher than 50. You currently have to move up for him, but I wouldn't mind it. So, like, yeah, I agree with you. Depends what I do. If they put it this way, if they move from 22 back into the second round at like 40, take Cooper. Then with those other 2 picks, get yourself a Corley, get yourself a wide receiver, get yourself whoever you want. Don't care. Bring him in. Load the boat. Load the ships. Not asked. Bring whoever you want in. But yeah, I agree. It's still it's a fairly important need. But when you've got 2 guys like that outside, I mean, it doesn't. Put it this way. Would the Eagles have won in, 6 more games if they had a reliable slot receiver? Maybe 1 or 2, which could have made the difference. Don't get me wrong, it could have made the difference, but it's certainly not something they'll be actively trying to push for, I think, early. Like, they've got depth there for a reason. They're probably going to take a flyer on a younger guy around 4 or 5. If he doesn't pan out, you do have someone like Devontae Parker, someone like Paris Campbell there to, light the torches at least. The Cowboys game with Gardner Minshew shows how spectacular Smitty can be at the catch point. 100%. Yeah, that one stands out. There are a couple Gardner Minshew games where he was just excellent. But then that's every Smitty game, isn't it? Like, he is just different gravy. Different gravy. The move to get AJ and pay him looks even better, as you could argue he's underpaid. 100%. I promise we're getting to this bit. I'm just trying to catch up with your comments. I know I'm a little bit behind. Gainwell's the cousin. I knew it was one of them. I thought it was Milton, and I'm not really sure why. 2017 off-season was the magnum opus, says No Pro Sports. It's definitely up there. I mean, I think 2021's rivaling it, if I'm honest. There's not much to choose between the two. And again, you're picking between a fine wine and champagne. I don't think there's much, to debate there. Liam's the sweetest boy. That's better. That's what we come for, all right? Applaud Buddy Christ. All right, look, he's back from Easter. He's risen. He's here in the stream, and he's having a lovely time. Not shave your hair, the balding looks weird. That's the kind of vibes we need in this stream. Buddy Christ. Jackie Robinson Day. Who's Jackie Robinson? Is Jackie Robinson the... Oh, it's a baseball player. I'm not sure. That's not my fault. I'm not a big baseball guy. I thought it was that random English woman that went viral in COVID during the... she was on that Zoom call, and there was the big argument of, the parish council thing. It might have gone to America. I don't know, but it blew up here. That was who I thought Jackie Robinson was. But fair enough. Shout out Jackie Robinson. Yeah, I wasn't overly familiar with him. It's probably an ignorance. I'll do some research because the immediate show up on Google obviously seems very, very important about making, obviously, baseball far more accessible to, black people. So I would all right. I apologize for not knowing much about Jackie Robinson. That's me being British and not really following the MLB as closely as I do football. So I hope I didn't offend you there. Travis Hogan got me through the 2020 season. He got me through about 2 weeks of it. He was good for about a month, and then it all went massively, massively tits up. But yeah, what an era to go through. So we will dive into the other element of this contract, which is, of course, the way that Howie Roseman has struck again. And he has done this every single time since about 2016, 2017. I know I'm only messing with you, HC. I'm the most self-deprecating person out there. You know that. I'm all good. I promise I won't cry myself to sleep. I can't promise that. But no, I know, man. You're all good. I promise. Don't feel bad. Yeah, so you look at the lay of the land. DeVonta Smith, May 2nd, 5th-year option. Do the Eagles take it? Do they not? Do they take it? Do they not? No one's really sure. No one has a clue. All right. Howie Roseman has spent a lot of money this offseason on Dickinson. Sorry. It's going well this stream. Mylata. There's been extensions on special teams. You pay a guy like Bryce Huff. You trade Hassan Reddick. It's been everyone but Smitty getting his slice of the pie. Everyone but Smitty getting his slice of the pie. Howie looks at the board, knowing if he doesn't pay him this offseason, and Smitty does ball out again, even if he puts up 800 yards, 800 yards is 800 yards. He's a wide receiver 2. What do you want from the guy? If Jalen Reagor put up 400 yards as a wide receiver 1, it was renowned as a global miracle. But if Smitty puts up 800 at wide receiver 2, at this point, that's considered a downgrade or a step back. So you know he's going to ball out. He's pretty much a safe bet to have another strong campaign. We all know that. So Howie's got to look at that and go, well, we've got to pay him soon. And we can extend the 5th-year option, which gets him, I think it's a $17.5 million average for 2024. Then do we pay him after that season and it's inflated, or do we just do it now? And you look across the league, and he is in a draft class with guys like Jamar Chase, with guys like Nico Collins, with guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown. All 3 of them in the exact same position. All 3 of them looking for big paydays, knowing their time's coming. And realistically, if Jamar Chase gets paid before DeVonta Smith, price goes up. If Amon-Ra St. Brown gets paid before DeVonta Smith, price goes up. Nico Collins, I don't know. You can make a case either way. He's an outstanding receiver. Was it a freak season? Was he made to look better in 2022? He was better. Oh, he was good in 2022 as well. I mean, he has been solid. I can't lie. I'm not trying to disrespect Nico Collins. He's been a fantastic receiver to watch. But you've got those 3 guys all looking for new deals. On top of that, you've got CD Lamb looking for an extension. Brandon Ayuk's looking for an extension. The first of those guys is currently looking to hold out of off-season workouts because he wants a new contract. So that's a distraction for a team already riddled with them. All it takes is a Brandon Ayuk extension at 26 mil. Oh my God, well now Jamar Chase is 27. Oh, well now Amon-Ra St. Brown's 28. Oh, well now it's got to be 29.5 for Nico Collins. And then it's 30 mil. And that's nearly what? A 20-30% jump just by trying to be patient. And that is without 2024. That's providing Smitty doesn't ball out again. That's hoping he doesn't, so you can get him in cheap. And the average projection, I went on Sport Track earlier, they projected Smitty's value on an average annual basis at $23 million. The Eagles are paying him 22.8 or something like that. It works out 72 million over 3 years, 51 in guarantees. It's around 22, 23 million anyway. They've got him his projected average. They're not even overpaying him. So they're slightly underpaying a receiver that could well, in a month's time, have been set to make 32, 33 million a year just by being early. So it's one of those things where Howie has had the foresight to view the market, to look at the lay of the land and go, well, look, there's 6 receivers really. I don't know why I held up 3 fingers. There's 6 receivers really that are all set to achieve big paydays. 6 receivers that are all deserving of DeVonta Smith money, if not a little bit more. We should probably pay him. We want to keep him. It's the last window they've got because after this season, things get really interesting with the salary cap. Jalen's contract kicks in a little bit. It's lucky that they're kind of it's interesting they're remolding guys that are beginning to ramp up. Someone like Mailata was destined for a big hit. He's now a little bit less. You've got Landon Dickerson on the books now. It's very interesting. And the Eagles have gone, well, we might not be able to pay him that next year. And if he does ball out, we could have maybe afford 23 million. But if he balls out and the other guys get paid and now we have got to pay him 33 million, do we have that? Can we afford that yearly? So it was a very, very smart move. Very smart, very forward-thinking move. And I'm stunned that more GMs in the league don't take that approach. Like, for me, again, it's not a good comparison. I play Football Manager. I love it. I obsess over it. It's a fantastic game. The first thing I always try and do is lock in players who you know might want to leave in 3 years, who you know might want to play better football for a better team. You're like, well, stay with me. Just let you're happy here now. Sign you in now. We'll deal with it later because I don't want you being sniped up 6 months into the season and I'm without a striker. I don't want you being snapped up 3 months in. I've got no right winger. I need my guys here that I can continue to build and develop and lean on and let grow. That's what Howie's doing. I don't know why more GMs are prepared to just wait and sit and play this weird perpetual game of possum, hoping that the outcome is, yeah, we won. He's taking less. He's staying. Come on, CD. Back to Dallas he come. He don't want to be there. He wants money. It's very open. It's a very strange dynamic. Very strange dynamic. We're drafting Dallas Turner around 50 because you have too many Jalen's and Dallas needs to balance it out. We'll have 2 Dallases then. That will even things up. They probably need to get another Landon in there as well. A Jordan could be an easier one. Need more Miltons in the world, if you ask me. Need a few more Miltons in this team. There's a lack of Miltons going on. But if you can leave a like on the stream, guys, we're over the halfway mark. Let's pump those numbers up for today for DeVonta Smith's signing of a contract extension. 3-year extension, 72 million. It will run through 2028 and, of course, kicks in at the end of this season. So the extension includes a 5th-year option. So it's technically 4 years, if that makes sense. When was the last time we had a player hold out? I genuinely believe, if I remember rightly, and I might be wrong in saying this, it was either Fletcher Cox or Darren Sproles in 2016. I think. It was the same year as the Sam Bradford stuff. Because I was like, I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, please someone let me know. That could just be, look, any excuse to talk about Sam Bradford, I will bring up. I feel like it was that offseason. For some reason, I feel like because then Sam was pissed off the Eagles drafted Carson. I'm pretty sure Sproles wanted a new deal and Fletch did, and there were some training camp shenanigans, and both of them were. I don't think it ever came to anything. But then you had the whole Nigel Bradham umbrella stuff, and there are a couple of other things going on. And I feel like since 2021-ish, probably since the Nick Sirianni era, and then that's the other thing. Like, before we get into how stacked the team is, just culture-wise, and this goes back to what I was saying with that 2021 draft group, is that you look at it, and they were all, like I said, all team captains, all somehow intertwined with the team. Be it grew up Eagles fans, be it related to Eagles players, be it team captains. All of them fit one of that criteria. 2022 was very similar. 2023, even more so, because everyone played for Georgia. All right? So there's a reason for that. You go back to 2016, 2015, 2014, even 2017, 2018. Anonymous sources, shoddy media relationships, Fletcher Cox involved in shotgun scuffles because he was shagging someone's wife or something, Nigel Bradham losing fights with umbrellas, Daryl Worley was his name, the cornerback, I think that's his name, ended up being done for DUI or something like that, or with weed in the car, and he lasted like a week in Philadelphia and was out. Like, since then, since that point, the only time there has been an off-season incident of any note for anyone on this team was the one time where, it was even mid-season, where Jalen Carter got stopped in a store because apparently he was stealing, but something went off in self-checkout and didn't scan, which happens to literally everyone ever. And instead, everyone assumed, and if we learned a lesson there, it's assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Teach that to your kids. Teach that to your people at school. Teach it to your friends. Teach it to your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your husbands, your wives. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. All right? And that was what people did. That was exactly what people did. And Jalen Carter was fine. Not a thing of it. What has happened since then? There has not been a single isolated incident of a player acting up, getting into fights, acting weird. I say acting weird on social media when Darius Slay exists, but you know what I mean. Darius Slay probably thinks the Earth's flat. I'm not that arsed. Like, you can think the Earth's flat and, you know, not be a nuisance in strip clubs. There's a difference there. So, to me, it's problematic, but it's not like, you know, deeply entrenched. Oh my God, this really hurts the young guys sort of thing. My wife hates that phrase because I'm an ex-husband. What? Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. It's one of my favorite phrases ever. A teacher taught me it when I was like 14 years old. And it's one of the only things I ever remembered out of school. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. And then I love it. I say it all the time to everyone for no reason whatsoever. We did have the Chauncey drama, but by the time it happened, he was off the team. So I don't... And when he came back, he handled it like an absolute champ. He just said, unfinished business. I'm sorry. I'll make up to you. And it's like, that's all you could ever want in someone. Be accountable. Yeah, all right. I was heated. I wanted to stay. Whatever. And what he said wasn't wrong. Really? He said, unless you're on about the stuff with like Debo, in which case I will fully defend CJ with my life and fuck Debo, because the guy just whines and cries and moans and whines and cries and moans. Like, so yeah, it's I don't know. CJ's very much, for anyone that does watch soccer or Premier League soccer, I liken him to Alexander Mitrovic. He plays for Fulham. Obviously, he was a bit of a baller in the Prem during his day. I don't think he's as good anymore. I think now they've obviously fallen off a bit. But he's a player that you don't want on an opposing team. You would hate to play against him because he is a menace. He will get other players penalized. He gets receivers fired up. He gets receivers like throwing punches. He gets into scuffles. He really gets under the skin of everyone. And you hate it because you know your players are going to take the bait. And you put him on your team and you know he's an idiot. And you know he's just a pain in the ass and he's troublesome to root for. But what separates him from someone like Jalen Mills, who did all the same shit, is that CJ backs it up. CJ is a Pro Bowl level safety that will make hard hits, that rallies the defense, whose passion flies off of his shoulder pads with every single hit. And he's a talented player. When Jalen Mills was doing his little apparently flexing thing, but looked like a chicken, and then getting into scuffs with Fletcher Cox because Cox is trying to hold him back because he's celebrating after making a pass defense after giving up a 60-yard pass, there's a different type. See what I mean? So, like, to me, look, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's not perfect. I think as a person or like on the football field, he can be troublesome and get himself into some silly situations, but it benefits the team. I don't think he's ever been a detractor from the team's success. He's only ever been making it better. And you can't say that for a lot. So he kind of gets a pass for that. And that's where I think the Darius Slay stuff crept in earlier this offseason. Because, like, dude, why? You know, all the stuff through the year about defending his own play and being a bit more in for himself than everyone else and the responsibility. And we've gone over this debate a billion times. The difference between the two, Chauncey leads. And he's a very visible leader. And he rallies guys up. And players gravitate towards him because he's fiery. And I think Tom makes a fantastic point there about him being like Patrick Beverley or a Draymond Green, if you will, a less troublesome Draymond Green. We'll go there. But he's brilliant. Like, you can't not like him. If you would hate to play against Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, stick him on any other team in the playoffs, and you're like, oh, fuck, we've got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and you know it's going to be offensive pass interference because A.J. Brown's going to shove him in the chest and put him on the ground and stand over him, and it all undoes the good work. Like, and he'll love it, and he'll be sat there with a little smirk on his face. And you put him on your team, and he is an absolute shithouse in every sense of the word. Like, they're one of the biggest shithouses in the NFL, and I love him for it. So I'm willing to overlook a lot of the CJ stuff because of what he brings to the team. And if it becomes a problem and it's too far and it's not backed up, or his play falls off and he starts being a Debo diva, fair enough. Opinions can change. People can change. But for now, he's safe in my book. Darius Slay is not safe in my book. DeVonta Smith is safe in my book. Quez Watkins isn't even in the book. Quez Watkins doesn't make the book. Quez Watkins, hopefully, is out buying the book to learn some grace and decorum because his attitude stinks. There we go. All right. So that's our analysis of the Eagles at the minute. Wins had to evaporate from his vocabulary. All the homies hate Debo. There we go. If you haven't liked the stream yet on YouTube, I know we got a few of you watching on Twitter. Head on over. Just like it. Use it as a hate Debo button. For 5 minutes, the like button is a hate Debo Samuel button that we all need to press because fuck him. I can't stand him. Does my head in. No receiver in this league annoys me as much as Debo Samuel. I don't care if he performed like prime Justin Jefferson. I don't care if he looked like Calvin, Megatron, Johnson, Williams, all of it. Mike Williams, Keenan. I don't care. I don't care. Does me head in. He could be the second coming of Randy Moss. He's a bum. I don't care. He does me head in. And again, that's why I think DeVonta Smith stands out. Because Smith is just lovable in every aspect. He's just so good. He already left. I know. I'm trying to make sure he's expelled. I'm able to make sure he's banished from the kingdom, never to return, never to be seen again, because he does my head in. But we'll get back onto the Eagles stuff. Sorry, Win. I didn't mean to miss your question. Sorry. About who I recently won at 22. I want Latu if he falls to us. I don't think they pick at 22. I think they move back or up, which is, look, I can't. They're either going to move back, move up, or they're going to pick someone. Hashtag analysis, hashtag NFL Insider. You're welcome. I don't know. Part of me would think Cooper DeJean is like the perfect fit because he can play all over the defensive backfield and he can realistically fill the void while Sidney Brown recovers, potentially, because now they've got a trio of safeties there to rotate around based on matchup. Could be a long-term plan at nickel corner if Avonte Maddox moves on after next year. That's a shout. Having said that, we went over this on Friday's stream, I think. We'll do it now. We'll do it again now because I know we've got a few more of you now. So here's what we'll do. I'm trying to make a point. I promise it's not a bad one. Let me just share this screen with you all. Trade up for Troy Faltani. It's JC Latham or bust for me, if I'm honest, Zach, at that point. But I've not watched Troy yet, so I don't want to make a judgment. We'll do it on Wednesday or Friday. We'll go over both of them. We'll let this mock draft fill up. It's doing its thing. I'm going to make a point about the 22nd pick in particular. Okay, randomly on this mock draft, the Eagles have traded up to 14 for a player they could get at 22. So that's brilliant. And that's why mock drafts are never to be believed, people. Did they even give up for that? Don't tell me it was a lot. We'll have to wait till it ends. Cool. Right. Apparently, in this one, the Eagles traded up. God, they get up pick 53. No, why? There's no logical word that happens. If it does, I'll do a shoey. Right, pick 22. Look who's around. Right. There's no way Latham falls to 20. The Eagles trade up and get him. If you're looking realistically at this sort of level, I'll try and zoom in so you can see it more because I know sometimes that the screen isn't great here. Who are we looking at that is going to be good at 22? Chop Robinson, no, I don't like. Tyler Guyton, I would get. Lane Johnson's been mentoring him. And if they give him the same sort of treatment that they gave Jason Kelce, and that he can potentially handpick his future heir to the throne, an Oklahoma product, someone that, even if you go on his profile, 6'7", 322, monster athlete. Like, that's the kind of prototype that they're after. So Tyler Guyton's likely. I prefer J.C. Latham of all of the linemen this year. I feel like he's the most NFL-ready tackle in this class. But who else is there? It's not going to be Brock Bowers. It's not going to be Brian Thomas. It could be a tackle. Like Amarius Mims is an option, obviously, out of Georgia. If you're going pass rushes, it kind of has to be Latu, in my opinion. But there's question marks over his health. And he might be the most complete pass rusher in the world. There are question marks over his health. So, to me, if you are going to go for a pass rusher, Dallas Turner's the one you move up for. Because, A, he played for Alabama. There's links there. B, he just plays with the same level of motor. Like, he's just the way we watched him on Friday, I think. And the way he plays football, his hands are so active. Everything is just vicious, flying everywhere. So he's like a 13-year-old kid in his first mosh pit. He is just swinging hands everywhere. He is kicking everyone. He's spinning around, flying underneath, ripping, clubbing, doing absolutely everything he can to get to that quarterback. And I think that's brilliant. But if we want more someone coverage related, if they're looking for someone that can drop back into coverage, maybe not. I'm not sure. My point is, the cornerbacks in this range are shite. Quinyon Mitchell, I don't rate that highly. I don't even think, weirdly, the second one, Kool-Aid McKinstry, is even in the first round here. Not that I can see, unless he's gone a bit earlier. No, he hasn't. He slipped out. He's not a first-round corner. He's not got it. Nate Wiggins, slow. No long speed at all. Very, very stiff at the line of scrimmage. Like, really struggles to open his hips, gets stuck behind very easily. I wonder if there's a scout report. There's not. I was hoping it will back up my statement. So, if you take out the corners, who in any other draft would be a second or third round pick, you take out Latu for injuries. If you need to hit on this pick, you're not having Chop Robinson. Who are you left with? It's Cooper. It's potentially a move up for a tackle. Or you move back and you leverage that pick, and in round 2, you get yourself a linebacker, you get yourself a slot receiver. Then maybe you take a flyer on an offensive tackle later on. Or a defensive end a bit later on. I just don't see many players around this range, to me, that are worth a pick. Mims is, Jared Verse might be, Latham certainly is, Guyton might be at 22. No, I haven't done Johnny Newton yet. I will break down his tape. Nate Wiggins, no. Cooper DeJean, yes. No. So, I mean, they might go for Graham Barton, but I think we can all agree if they're going center, it's probably Jackson Powers Johnson in round 2. So, it's a really weird class, and I hope that you see where I'm coming from with it. I'm not saying I'm right at all. It's me. My analysis can often be wrong. I think it's weird you say that. So you think Mitchell's the best corner in the draft? I would very much argue that Terrion Arnold is far better, and he's younger. He's only 21 years old. He's someone that, to me, just has that special kind of ability you don't see with many NFL cornerbacks. I like Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon might be the most NFL ready. I'll meet you halfway. Quinyon Mitchell is the most NFL ready in that class. Because Nate Wiggins isn't. Kool-Aid McKinstry's scared of everything. And Terrion Arnold's only 21. So you're definitely right. Like, out of the box, if you want a starter, Quinyon Mitchell. But realistically, unless they move on from Bradbury and suck up a lot of dead cap, they probably can't afford to give him that starting role instantly. Where that makes sense of bringing in someone like Terrion Arnold, who's only 21, can develop for a year under Darius Slay. Then you fuck him off. Then you send him to Timbuktu, or wherever he wants to play or retire. And then you have a starting tandem of maybe someone else. You have Terrion Arnold and then Keely Ringo on the outside. That, for me, is the dream scenario. If you're going to move up for a corner, Terrion, for me, he is so explosive as an athlete. He's so fluid and instinctive. The issue is that technique-wise, he's only had 2 full seasons. And we went over this on Friday. So, I mean, if you are a bit bored one evening when and you want to go back, I think it was Friday's stream you watched his tape, and I fell in love with him. Like, head over heels. And the issues are that his technique is very raw, especially at the line. And because of that, he often has to rely on athleticism to bring him back into phase, to bring him back into the hip pocket of the receiver. So if he loses here and gets beat, he has to rely that he can be quick enough to get back, which he often can. It's not going to work at the next level as much. But we also examine, like, he played like 700 coverage snaps over 2 years. Quinion Mitchell played 1,500. That's like, it's literally more than double the experience that Terrian's had. So the Eagles are in a really strong position where they can afford to get a player that's a bit rawer, a bit younger, that has all the upside in the world, and develop him for a year away from the spotlight while you've got two average veterans holding down the fort until such a time as Arnold and Ringo are ready to go. And to me, that's probably the best bet. If you get Mitchell, I think you're kind of putting a ceiling on him because he's good enough to start and he's better than James Bradbury. And not that that takes much. He's the most NFL-ready corner in the draft. He's brilliant around the catch point. Again, very fluid, breaks and closes very well. I've got a few concerns with tackling and just play strength in general. But overall, great corner. I just think he's good enough to start. And if he gets to Philadelphia and he's bottlenecked for a year, you're wasting a year of play that is really imperative to his development, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at. And it's no knock on Quinion Mitchell. But Kool-Aid McKinstry can get all of the heat in the world. I do not think he's good in the slightest. He can slip to the third, and I would not be shocked. The guy can't tackle, has no effort. He's just athletically good and coasts around. He's really not impressive to me in the slightest. So there you go. Quinion's better wholeheartedly than Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's better than Nate Wiggins because Nate Wiggins is slow as anything and is as stiff as a cock. He cannot do anything. But he tackles well. So if you can stick him in the slot, maybe. But then you've just signed Maddox and you've got Isaiah Rodgers and you've got, obviously, I've forgotten his name now. I've just forgotten the guy's name. There's another one they signed. Tyler Hall. That's him out of the Raiders. So there you go. That's my take on the cornerbacks in this class so far. Mims ran a 5.07.40. DeJean 4.4. Wiggins 4.28. What? Nate Wiggins? No, he didn't. It doesn't. But the thing is, and I would really urge you to go back and watch Friday streaming if you have the chance, or you can stomach another hour of Liam's football analysis. Just because, I think play speed is different to what we see from tape speed is different to athletic speed. You can run a 4.40 in 3 seconds if you want, but if you run around you're Lane Johnson, it doesn't matter how quick you are. Realistically, it's not the burst that's the issue. It's for some reason it's the longer stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if you go on his R8 or his RAS and his relative athletic score, and he does amazingly in the 3-cone, he does amazingly in the shuttle, and then the 40s was a bit tailed off because his long speed just to me wasn't there, and I don't know. I'm genuinely stunned that he's run a 4.28 because it did not look like it to me. So if I'm wrong, maybe I need my eyes examined. But he just did not. If anyone was here on that stream and watched the tape with me, maybe they can vouch or go, "No, Liam, you're silly. He was quick. You're a fucking idiot." That's also perfectly valid. But to me, just didn't look quick at all. Very susceptible in press coverage. Tackled extremely well. One of the best tackling corners I've seen in this class, if not the best. Everything else sucked. So, that was that, I suppose. Eric's in the chat, speaking of Kool-Aid. Cheerio to Liam in the chat 12. Nice to see you, man. Always a pleasure to welcome you into the stream. And the chat 12. We're on a chat 14 this evening. The numbers are pushing back up. Again, if you could leave a like on the video, guys, it would be amazing. It's a huge help to us growing the channel and bringing more content like this for you. I heard good things about Arnold too. I just don't see him making it. That's where I'm you need to trade up for. I think him, JC Latham, Latu, if they're really confident, or Dallas Turner. Those will be the 4 guys I'm all in on. Just move up. They moved up for Smitty. They've moved around for other players recently. Do what you need to do. If you're in a position of luxury, you don't have to reach at 22. This isn't a Jalen Reagor spot. This isn't an Arthega Whiteside spot. where you've got to be over aggressive and reach for a player or an Andre Dillard spot where you need a position and he's all that's left and you have to take him because he's all that's there. They're not like that. This is a very strong core. So they've got flexibility. If they want to move up, I'd urge them fully to do it. I completely agree with Isaac. I feel like it's going to be a tackle first round. Like, I'm very much warming towards an offensive tackle. And no matter who it is, whether it's Mims, whether it's Latham, whether it's, what's the other fella called? I can't remember now. One of the other guys, Tyler Guyton, whoever. I feel like they'll definitely go in that direction. You got a good deal. So it's time for UFL football. I hope you're enjoying the new season. I agree. I think it's a steal of a deal and one that came at a perfect time. And just before we get to the end, we'll go through this. I like the Rora CB with the veterans to learn from. How do you say Rora? Raw. That's the same water bottle. Veterans. I'd say veterans. Veterans. Do I say veterans? Oh, don't. I'll be in a crisis now. I thought I said veterans. Veterans. Oh, bollocks. I like the. How would you say Rora if he's the rawer of the two? You just say more raw. The more raw of the. Yeah, it's just me being an idiot. Fair enough. You win again. Yes, win again. Where do we go? We need to trade the first pick for more picks late. We can have at least 9 players drafted. Yeah, I think, put it this way. If they can move back to like pick 40 and have 3 second-round picks, didn't work out too bad when they had Dallas Goedert and Avonte Maddox. Didn't work out too bad, that draft at all. One of Howie's better draft classes. And we actually went over that on Friday as well. In that, it's not the worst decision in the world. Move back, get an extra guy. Everyone's happy. You're not in a position where you need that oomph up front. You don't need a generational starter. You've got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith in the last 3 years. You don't need more first-round cornerstone assets. You look at the offense. And again, we'll link this back to the Smitty thing. The Eagles over the next 3 years have the following players locked up for 3 years. 3 years. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata. That's near enough an entire offense. Tyler Steen, you can argue, can be put in there. I don't think he's held in that same franchise regard as the others just yet, but probably a starting center in 2024. Cam Jurgens is there. I mean, I think he's only 2 years and an option, or maybe it's just 2, but he's there. Dallas Goedert, you probably need an extension or a new guy beneath him. I don't mind CJ Uzomah. We said this a few weeks back on the stream with that. I mean, we kind of overlooked that signing, but the Eagles added in the former New York Jet. We went over the best remaining free agents, and at the tight end position, he was the one guy I was like, all right, his best days are behind him. He's nearly, I think he is into his 30s now. He was drafted in like 2015, but he's someone that has nearly 1,000 career receiving yards. There is a soft pair of hands, and the Eagles haven't had a viable second option as a pass catcher at tight end since Zach Ertz left. I would argue Tyree Jackson injured, Jack stalled out. Grant Calcaterra has been good in flashes, but is he really going to be a viable pinch hitter? If Goddard goes down, can he carry the load? If Goddard goes down, Uzomah can carry the load. That's a good signing. I'm very much all over that. He did run a 40, but he injured himself doing so. Probably tripped over his own shoelaces because he can't run properly. Sorry, that was mean. I hope he wasn't properly injured. Nate Wiggins, I'm sure you're a lovely man. I wish you a speedy recovery. You're just not quick, though. Let's not lie. You got someone to stop the stop clock because you tripped over. And you only ran 20 yards at 4 seconds, tripped over, and they stopped the clock because he fell over. And they were like, wow, he's ran a 4.2 just to send that. That's not what happened. That's a joke, everyone. Don't worry, just in case. But, you know. There isn't a linebacker prospect that's a first rounder. No, there's none. I mean, Edgerrin Cooper's definitely a second. So, yeah, to me, it's Peyton Wilson that they should select there or move back for Trayvon. I love him. Or Trevin Walker, whatever he's called. Trevin. Get him in. Brilliant. Out of Kentucky. Big fan. Think he's a fantastic linebacker. What's up, Ron? Nice to see you, man. Thank you for hopping in. I appreciate you. I can't remember the exact point in the video it was. You can obviously skim through it. I'm pretty sure it was Friday's stream. If not, it would be Wednesdays. I want to say it was Fridays. But yeah. No, I didn't stream on Friday, did I? It was Wednesday. I beg your pardon. Yeah, it was Wednesday's stream. I didn't stream on Friday. I'm trying to get my body clock back in order. Got a big golf competition on Saturday. So I'm trying to I'd preferably like to tee off without being on 2 hours sleep because I'm representing the little golf club I play for and it's all wholesome and a bit lame. But got a little polo shirt with the logo on and everything. I'm well excited. So I'm trying to have a full night's sleep before that. And that kind of requires going to bed at a mildly sensible time. So I kind of all right, let's start now. And now I'm a bit sleepy. I can do these streams, head straight to bed. We're all good. But I needed to really kick in and try and have an early night. But yeah, Wednesday was the stream. Shout out Dion Kane turn up to the UFL. What a man. Eagles legend Dion Kane. Love that for you. Hope you're enjoying it. Who's the more raw of the two is the right thing. So HC's mugged me off again. Bloody love that. He's having a field day, isn't he? He's having a hell of a time out there today. I'm rooting for the Eagles to get chopped. I don't know. I mean, he didn't do much for me. He couldn't bend. He was just he runs straight and that was sort of it. And there weren't really many pass rush moves. And it felt like every rep that we watched on stream, he would end up the blocker's arm will be here and his little arms will be poking over the top like that. And he'd just be stuck. And if you compare it to someone like Dallas Turner, who just drives people off him, and he does the Incredible Hulk and will just blow people backwards because of his power, Robinson doesn't have that. And it's he's not bendy enough to be like Derek Barnett, where you can just get away with looping around and not doing much else. And he's not powerful enough to just bull rush all the time. So he's sort of just stuck in this weird, medium where he can tackle well and he's instinctive and he can read the right gaps. His gap discipline's solid, but he doesn't have. Maybe he'll develop. Maybe it's under the right coaching staff. He can find those pass rushing moves, maybe bulk up a little bit, and that will help him. But out of the box, I don't see him as a first round pick for me. I can go through my draft grades if you want. I don't mind. I've got them all on a little spreadsheet from these streams. Eagles offense should be hellacious. I love that word. You're a saucy man, Ron. The defense looks suspect, needs more defensive tools. I think that's where the draft comes in. They're definitely going to add a linebacker or 7, hopefully. Cornerback, maybe. Safety's all good. There aren't many spots, really. Defensive tackle's solid. Defensive end, you've got guys there that have produced and will produce. So it's not bad. It's just not. It's not as good as the offense, but that's hard to be as good as the offense when you're talking about arguably the best offense in the NFL. Jatavian Sanders would be the final piece of this offense to wreak havoc. I don't think I've broke down tape on him yet. I will add him to the list. I don't think I've added him. So we'll do that on Wednesday, Tom, if that's cool with you. Have we done it? I don't think we've done him, have we? Yeah, we'll do him on Wednesday. It's honestly crazy. Smitty makes what AJ makes. Look, fair play. Secure the bag. Very much deserves it. When we gave AJ money, we paid him top 3 money. And that's the thing. Because everything's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, that's fantastic context. Because as time goes on, you're just going to end up in a situation where, again, Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, who was the other 2? Amon-Ra St. Brown, and there was one more from that class. I've forgotten his name. Oh, one of them, someone else. Anyway, 6 receivers can all be paid 25 mil plus. And if they all do, and that brings the average down, Smitty's average is going to be 7 or 8 or 9 anyway. So, if they wait and they end up paying 30 mil, then I think AJ's going to look at that and be like, well, what are we doing here? Come on. So, if Smitty came out of that contract because the Eagles had waited a while and they ended up paying him 35 mil, that's when Dan Silio's weird off-base take would make some moderate sense. And that is in the most generous sense of the word. But they haven't, so it won't, so it's fine. But they've read it very well, because this could have easily, in a year's time, if Smitty puts up another 1,000 yards, Higgins breaks out, for instance, he's been tagged this year, Chase breaks out, Nico Collins has another solid year, Brandon Ayuk does well, St. Brown has another solid year. You're dead. He's going to be getting 30, 35 million per year. It's going to handcuff the team. And it's not that he doesn't deserve it. He's very much worth that. You could probably make the argument he's worth 36 million a year. But to get him at that kind of average is incredible. It's a very good move. I said he's like Aaron Mabin, Buffalo Bills bust edge. Good. A bust. I like that. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, I see why you're rooting for him now. Right. So what you're saying is, I know Bull because he's a bum. Love that for me. Chop Robinson sucks. Love that for the brand. What a week this has been. Missed your sass, sunshine. I apologize for misreading your comment. Liam says, Eric. Hello, Eric. Small. I don't know why I smiled it. I don't know why I did that. Who do you see being a long-time fan favorite out of Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, or Nakobe Dean? That is such a good question. Such a good question. Out of the three, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. See, what he's done there very tactically is leave out Jalen Carter. You're a sick man, Eric. You're a sick man. That's so hard. Because Nakobe Dean's done nothing. Smith's done nothing. And Jordan Davis is held in this weird regard where he's overlooked because he apparently does nothing despite literally opening up everything for everyone else. Of the three, I would say Jordan Davis, to be honest with you. I think just because he's more visible on the field and he might not show up on the stat sheet, but what he provides, especially in this defense, let's not forget, he's now moving to a defensive scheme where it's a 3-4. And what do you need in a 3-4 where you've got three defensive linemen? You need a big, monstrous, meaty defensive tackle to swallow up some gaps, eat some double teams, and let the boys wreak havoc behind. I think that fits Jordan Davis perfectly. Like in a 4-3 and a hybrid, it's not quite the same. He's built to break out this year in a way that is visible. So of the three, personality-wise, I think Jordan Davis is more visible with the fan base, and he's just more... You could spot him a mile away. Could anyone really... and this is me being 100% honest, and it's no shot at either player. Could you tell... If Nolan Smith walked past you in the street, would you know who he was? If Nakobe Dean walked past you in the street, would you know who he was? Jordan Davis, you would. Like, you've got more chance... And I don't mean you specifically, but like an average Eagles fan... Do you know what Nolan Smith looks like? Because I haven't seen him. Same with Nakobe Dean. He's just, Nakobe Dean should be great. He's starting and he's gone. Nakobe Dean's back from injury. He's going to be, and he's injured again. Nakobe Dean's great. And he's gone. So, like, Jordan Davis is playing the bulk of snaps. He's opening things up for the team. So, with that in mind, I would say Jordan Davis. But the setup on that question is filthy. And I'm all for it. But... it's just unbelievable. Just what a way to end that stream. They do all have to prove themselves, though, Ron. I do agree. I could see Smith if he develops. Yeah, I think development's the key. The Eagles clearly are high on him because, I don't think Bryce Huff starts this year. Bryce Huff will be, in my opinion, a rotational edge rusher because that's where he shined in New York and got 10 sacks. And you're going to have someone like Bryce Huff. Sorry. You're going to have someone like Nolan Smith or Brandon Graham or Josh Sweat. Like, I just head up that charge, I think, for a bit. I mean, they could get another edge guy. They could. And BG gets a rotational role. You have a starting two of Sweat and Dallas Turner. Then coming off the bench, Nolan Smith and Brandon Graham. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Yeah, are we cooking? So the Eagles are high on Smith. I think Smith is going to get some exposure this year. But of the four, if we were to include Carter, by far and away, Jalen Carter would be the favorite. Your problem's the same as the Bills. You have definite needs, but your back of the line edge will be pick throw. T is my move, or CB, or center. I'd agree with those. I agree with everything you said. I think you've been very on base today. You have been a consistent hitter. You know, you're 3 for 3. You got one more for the Grand Slam. I mean, doing good. They're very similar in drafting. I think I do agree. Excuse me, I do agree with that for sure. Dean's the same as Maddox and Goddard, high potential injured reserve. Yeah, the difference is I think Maddox and Goddard proved it a bit earlier. I think it was very clear that Goddard was going to be a breakout star. I mean, God, I remember, like, was it 2018, like the London game? I was thinking he's going to be the next big tight end. He's going to be as big as Travis Kelce. He's going to be a George Kittle. Like, who cares? His yards after the catch are insane. It made Zach Ertz expendable, which is very difficult to do given what Zach Ertz was in his prime. To make him expendable, because bear in mind, Ertz was a starting team in Arizona. He carried his career on. He wasn't exactly bad, was he? He held his own. Dallas Goedert made him expendable. Devontae Maddox became one of the best slot wideouts in the NFL, best slot corners in the NFL. Nakobe Dean has just done nothing. I hope it changes. I really sincerely do. I want to see him, break that mold and become a staple of this defense. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm wondering if the Eagles will be stuck taking the piss. What a bollocks. Never ends. They continue to take the piss with the NFL. They're the biggest shit houses in the league, and I absolutely love to see it. Nolan Smith has glasses. He does. I think the only image we've got of him on PSN to use that we have the rights to is an image of him on like the post-draft conference with glasses on. So like whenever there's a Nolan Smith piece, it's just Nolan Smith in glasses. That's like all we have. So unfortunately, that's all I know about Nolan Smith. He's got glasses, and sometimes he plays football. Sometimes he plays Sudoku. Not really sure. Where's Captain Cravon? I wish I knew. Him and his mum still follow me on Twitter. We are best friends. The Captain Cravon era might be my favorite era of Eagles football. It was simply tremendous. And it breaks my heart at least once a week that we never got an interview with him. Couldn't work it out. He gave me his email address. I emailed him. No response. Emailed him again. No response. Shot him a DM. Replied. Emailed him again. No response. So, don't know. I tried. I failed. I let the movement down. The ship sunk. But boy, what a voyage it was. Into the oceans of the unknown. Watching him pick off that pass against the Saints. One of my favorite Eagles plays of all time. I couldn't put a finger on why. I couldn't tell you. But for that one moment, they were a team of destiny. That Cravon LeBlanc play was the team of destiny. And I love him to bits. And he will forever be held in the highest of regard by me. And the fact his mum, dude, like imagine being someone's mum or parent. I'm sure some of you are fathers here, right? And your son has a job and he has a fan online that also covers the team that makes a picture of him in a pirate hat, but in front of a pirate ship and calls him Captain Cravon and assembles the captain's crew and does this every single week. And you follow it. You're like, I love that. Yeah. What a woman. What a woman. She wasn't even annoyed by it. She wasn't like, Cravon, these Eagles fans are really weird. She loved it. He loved it. He followed me. Like, the man's a legend in every sense of the word. I love him to bits. The rap music was all right as well. Didn't mind that. He put a little rap song, kind of went off. It was pretty good. Should do more. Should do more. You know, we're missing out on some top quality content there. I feel like Davis has the size and potential to come close to making as much of an impact as Carter. If they can work on their endurance, they could elevate this D into an elite one easy. Yeah, fully agree. I think Davis, the laziness rumors around Davis, I think are completely misplaced. I think that what he has brought to that team, Hassan Reddick doesn't get 10 sacks or any of his sack campaigns without Jordan Davis. Brandon Graham doesn't get his. Josh Sweat doesn't get his. Like, Jalen Carter doesn't get his. Jordan Davis facilitates a lot out there. And it's annoying with defensive linemen because you don't notice them unless they give up a big play or they make a sack. And if you watch the tape and you watch the stuff in between and you keep an eye on him and the way that he pushes the pile, the way he can move and generate momentum and create holes and suck up attention, it's huge. And especially in this new scheme, I completely agree. It wouldn't surprise me if he becomes a real staple of this defense in 2024. Damn, he ghosted you. I know. I cry about it all the time. I think I took more offense to Cravon ghosting me than when women ghost me. I can't lie. That one hurt more. I can handle women ghosting me. That's all right. But Cravon, had me hook, line, and sinker. He put the reel out. He reeled me in. I was like, oh, I'm free. Gone. Back in the ocean. Swimming around with a salmon. Hating my existence. I thought I'd be served up on a lovely plate. Get me out of that ocean. Nope. Back in I went. 3 times. Gutted. We won our Carolina Panther Jordan Matthews interview. Dude, I love J-Matt is another one who's like my favorite Eagle. I think that, I mean, I said this story a lot, so I hope I'm not repeating it. And if I am, it's a nice one anyway. Back in 2016, when I first made PSM, which is literally 8 years ago. It might have been 2015. No, it was 20. No. It was late 2015, and the second interview was 2016. So I had 2 with him. It was the first year. So I would have been 19 years old. I'm 29, right? And I reached out I just tweeted him and was like, I'd love to interview you someday. I had a few hundred followers, wasn't nobody. No one gave a shit about PSN. No one knew what it was. No one gave it the time of day because I was British and 19. What could I possibly teach someone about the Eagles, or what insight could I give? Understandably so. I fully get it. And Jordan replied like, yeah, let's work something out. And I thought, oh, cool. That's amazing. He replied. He's going to blow me off. He didn't. DM me. I had like a 45-minute conversation. Text me afterwards. I reached out again in the off season, just said congrats on, the last, I think he had a really big year in 2015. I was like, just congrats on it. He was very grateful. And then we set up a second interview, and that was the one that went in our little e-magazine that we did. And it was much more about him off the field, his faith, his Christianity, his upbringing, his morals, and like just who he is as a person. And again, maybe like an hour-long conversation. And the maddest full circle moment for me ever, like in 10 years of doing this, there's been a few, but like the craziest one was when the Eagles came to London to play the Jags. The team themselves ran an article on me because obviously for them it works because I'm an English guy covering the team. It's a nice link. It's a nice story. Fits the London vibe. So they ran a story on me doing PSN and how it was all started and like, what I want to do with it and stuff. And the guy that wrote it got a quote from Jordan Matthews and was like, what do you think of Liam? And Jordan was like, yeah, I still keep in contact. Like I keep up to date on what he does. Like, great guy. And I was like, it's still on the Eagles website somewhere. And I was like, dude, the fact that this was like, at this point, 3 years ago, I've not spoke to him since. And Jordan Matthews still had the time of day to talk to someone else and give me a positive review and endorse me. Unbelievable. I've got all the time in the world for that, man. Like, you could not meet a nicer footballer. And look, I've spoken to dickhead football players. I've spoken to some of the nice ones. I've spoken to some in the middle. None have ever been as nice and as kind as Jordan Matthews. Like, with his time, with the way he spoke to me. Just an outstanding man. And I wish him all the best in the world. So, there you go. There's a soppy story on Jordan Matthews. Because to me, he is what every football player should be. Like, he approaches everything the right way. And there you go. I love him to bits. As much as DS gets on our nerves, I think he might be onto something. With his idea of taking Davis out on third downs to help preserve him. It's not the worst idea. It's not the worst idea. I mean, yeah, it's tricky. I think we need to see what he's like under Vic Fangio. We certainly need to see what he looks like there first. But I wouldn't be against it at all. Another understated issue was we never put teams away. Very true. J-Matt's a cool dude. If he was younger, it'd be a fantastic slot, 100%. If you're not a Jordan Matthews fan, you're a jerk. Completely agree. Like, you can't not like him. He's an amazing guy. If he was younger, it'd be I'm going to dream about a younger Jordan Matthews coming into this team with Smitty and AJ Brown, and that's going to be my night. I'm going to have to go, though. I've overrun my 20 minutes, and I really need the toilet. So I promise I wasn't speed running your comments. Got to go when you got to go, I'm afraid. But I really appreciate you guys for hanging out. Thank you so much for your time this evening. It's been great to talk about DeVonta Smith, to go through some of the draft stuff, and of course, take a little trip down memory lane to make me all soppy and appreciative for what I do. So on that note, thank you all for all of your support, because to go from there to where we are now is an unreal journey. I'll look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Thank you for absolutely everything. We'll go through more film. We'll break down some prospects, and we'll see where the stream takes us. But until then, take care. Go Birds.